A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Lookup TV. You're watching Counties in Focus that comes to you on every Wednesday right here at Lookup TV on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. My name is John Matava, and today we are discussing about the county's COVID-19 response, looking at Machakos County, which has recently set measures from the governor himself in a bid to fight the COVID-19. And to break it down for you, viewer, with me on set is Charles Orete, who is an economist as well as a community organizer. And then besides me, he's Daud Khalif, who is a MC aspirant in Mandera County, as well as a political analyst. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And first of all, to begin with, what do you think about the current taxation being nil in Machakos County?
Yeah, thank you. First, the current taxation being nil in Machakos County is a good gesture to the common mwananchi, but it will be more efficient if, Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua was a former government spokesperson, and these people, they have political ambitions. They have perfected the art of publicity. Maybe that is an agenda to win more votes. So we need it in action. Maybe on camera it has been said that the taxation has been reduced to nil, but in real life maybe the common mwananchi in Machakos County may still be suffering under the current new lockdown rules.
And then, Charles, from a point of view as an economist, what do you think about the taxation being nil in Machakos County?
Okay, thank you. The taxation being nil in Machakos means that for the common mwananchi is a good thing, because it will be economic relief on their side. The amount they'll save a lot of money, the ones they will be using to pay tax will be cut down. So to them, they'll benefit because there is money that will be retained in their pocket. But again, on the other side, there is the disadvantage. The disadvantage comes in because there will be a reduction in revenue collection. Because as you know, as a country, our budget depends on three things. One is the revenue collected from the various counties. Two is the domestic borrowing through treasury bills and bonds. Third is the international borrowing, like the Euro bonds. Yeah.
And just on that, to clarify, how is this going to affect the other counties, now being that Machakos is one of the counties that has been on the red zone? It's among the 5 counties that are under lockdown, right? So how is that going to affect the other counties?
Okay, basically now, because now the 5 counties are under lock and Machakos is one of them, it means there is hard economic times to the residents or the people of these particular counties. So basically, when a country is under lock like Machakos, it means therefore there is no the influx, the inflow, the going out and moving in is reduced. That means there is no economic growth. Yeah, basically.
Okay, thank you so much on that. And now to our main topic, we're looking at the measures that Governor Alfred Mutua of Machakos County put across to ravage the rising cases of COVID-19. And one thing in his statement states that he issued 100% waiver on the land rates and land areas. According to you, what does that mean to a common mwananchi?
Oh, well, to a common mwananchi, the compact majority has no effect in that. But for the few people who owns business and who owns the business premises are the ones who are going to benefit. And again, basically now, it means therefore that there will be a reduction in tax rate. But however, for them, the people who are doing business, it is also a cut and a relief on their side. Therefore, in his statement, again, therefore, he said that the landlords can negotiate with the tenants if there is a delay in payments. So basically, I think that is only to compensate for the people like tenants who may not afford to pay it on time. Yeah.
All right, and you, Khalif, what's your point of view on the same?
Yeah, first, on land rates, those who own factors of production in Machakos County, mostly the common wananchi, they have little influence on that. Most of them, they are tenants to some cartels or those people who own land. So reducing land rates will have, for example, you can reduce land rates to zero, but how will you convince a person who owns a certain building or how to reduce the rent, or how will they listen to the common wananchi on to wait for payment of monthly rent? I think the governor was right on TV, but that things needs to be made a reality, in the sense that it needs to have a direct touch with the owners of land and owners of factors of production, so that they have a discussion on what to do with those agendas he has put across.
Okay, and now looking at the same matter again, what do you think? Is it applicable in other counties, or will it work in Machakos County exactly?
I think it can be applicable in other counties if at all officers or communities involved or people involved are considered. For example, there are those business people, you have a table discussion with them. You hear what they have to say, because they are also facing, some of them are even paying loans, they are facing the ravages of the COVID-19. So you have to consider everybody when you are making a decision. Unless they consider everybody and bring them onto a table, they can affect that initiative. But first, all protocols must be observed and all people must be involved in the decision making.
Yeah, and again now, when you check at our constitution, article 176 about devolved government, you will find that the county government under Article 176(2), it says that every county government has the power to bring into laws and regulations that are effective and practicable. So in this scenario, what Governor Mutua has done is really good, because being the governor of that county of Machakos, so basically in his personal wisdom and interest, he has seen that it is indeed good for them. And again, when you look at the factors of production, as my friend has said, you know, there is no going to be production now that most of the businesses are not going, have been suspended, like the bars operation have been suspended. It means therefore that most of the owners of those particular businesses are going to incur a lot of losses, because even the number of employees are going to be cut down. So I think that is good for them to cushion the losses that they are going to incur.
But for me, I think first the lockdown was not well thought for, because you cannot wake up one day. It seems that the Uhuru administration has lost touch with the real mwananchi on the ground. They don't know what people in Kijiji slums of South Sea are eating, what the people of Mandera County, Moso, Livihio Ward, Hareri, Umbiso, Aresa are eating. You cannot just wake up one day and close down operations. For example, if you know this turn, for them to access Nairobi or other regions, they have to pass through Kiambu County, meaning you have completely locked down the whole of Northeastern. So I think the issue of lockdown, even if the cautioning is to be extended to other counties, first they need to rethink of how should they enforce the lockdown. Because, for example, in Northeastern, it seems today the whole of Northeastern is locked out from the other region, because for you to access Nairobi from northern region, you have to pass through Kiambu, and Kiambu is locked down. So I think the Uhuru administration needs to rethink of its strategies and have a real touch with the people on the ground. Yeah.
And on the same, there is a debate going on the social media platforms saying that people want our country unlocked. So how do you think that will be effective?
Yeah, I think I also support the initiative that our country should be unlocked, because the COVID-19 has been ravaging the country since last year. This is the second year. You close down bars, you close down hospitalities, you close down hotels, you lock down some counties. what have you put in place to caution those people who have lost their jobs? There are people who are paying school fees. There are people, depression. What have you done about depression? There is mental illness that is ravaging across. People are committing suicide because they have nothing to eat. The government did not put in place measures to caution those people. As a government, as the Uhuru government, what it could have done first, it could have put in place measures for those people to benefit from. You cannot lock down somebody who is hungry. People are hungry and you want to lock them in a house. What will they eat? That's why the Uhuru government, the lockdown was not well thought for. I think it would be better if the government unlocks the country, puts in place strategies to make sure that any person who has been locked out or who has nothing to eat is counted for and is considered. Yeah.
And again, on the same, Charles, on your point, do you think maybe, according to Governor Mutua, he has already made some cushion measures to curb the ravaging cases? Do you think maybe President Uhuru Kenyatta should do the same?
Yeah. Now, to start with, a president directive or a president order is like law. So once they locked down the 5 counties and put in the curfews and the lockdown, that becomes a law. Yeah. It's unquestionable. And there is nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
It's so unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. But again, President has advisors. People look at the country and give him advice. So basically, we are talking about a pandemic that has ravaged even the most financially stable economies around the world. And we are seeing the devastating effect that is happening over there. So basically for us, we are a little economy, a struggling economy growing. We are a third developing country, you see. So basically the only thing that we can do is the influx in Nairobi. Nairobi has a high population of people coming across all over. So the moment you give these people the opportunity to traverse and go up country, they're going to infect. And the rate of spread is going to increase. And that is therefore, I think, our president, in his wisdom, thought it was to lock down the 5 counties, the 4 counties that border Nairobi. You see? Yeah, because those are the entry point. If you check the other side, Nakuru to the west, then Machakos to the east, Kajiado to the south, and Kiambu to the north. You see, basically, so that the entry point, the influx of people going out and coming in, can be reduced. Another thing is, I think just like it happened the previous time when there was a curfew, Uhuru set up a commission, a team that was to look at it. I think in his wisdom is supposed to do the same, so that we can have a team that is going to look at the welfare of the people, the needy people in the society, and especially the slums within Nairobi.
Yeah, I agree with my colleague, but yeah, you understand that a presidential directive comes into a law. You cannot, by locking down 5 counties and allowing, there's the United Kingdom variant, COVID-19 variant, there's a South African variant. Flights are coming in from South Africa and United Kingdom still, but you are locking out the common mwananchi from doing his normal business. So I think the president and his surrogates need to sit down, have a discussion in consideration with the common mwananchi, because if you allow the well-versed business people or the rich to come into the country, even I saw somewhere that tourists can come from outside, but a local tourist cannot traverse the country. I think that's not for the common Kenyan, the common hustler. That's not a good narrative, and they need to rethink about that narrative.
You think maybe it should be revised further?
After the day after the president spoke, the government spokesperson Colonel Cyrus Oguna also addressed and revised some measures that even the president's team did not consider in the first place. So it will be wiser as the president, in his own wisdom and capacity, to sit down, discuss with relevant authorities on how even he can have a meeting with the common mwananchi by picking some people, have a discussion with them on what we can do, because you cannot wake up one day, look, hungry people. That's the fact, the reality on the ground today. People need to eat. You have closed down, but in 5 counties. and the GDP of the country mostly, a certain percentage comes from Nairobi County.
Yeah.
And so if you lock down, what have you put in place to caution those people you have locked down? And yet the rich are still traveling with those variations of the COVID-19.
Yeah.
I think it will be better if the president considers the cry of the common Mwananchi, unlocks the country, and put in place measures and considerations to cushion them.
Yeah.
No,
Okay, that's right. Yeah, just narrowing it down to Machakos County again. In his statement, Governor Mutua said that the transport levy cost will be reduced by 50%, and then there will be non-payment of fees for the mamambogas, the tuk-tuk drivers, and the maruti operators. So how does that, what do you think about it?
I think that is a good initiative, because the mamamboga is the common Mwananchi after all. If you transverse through the country, majority of the mamambogas are people who live hand to mouth. They do hand to mouth jobs. They depend on that. They pay school fees on that mamamboga, the tuk-tuk, the boda. So reducing transport cost on them, I think, is a wise idea, unless it has to be implemented. Maybe, as I said earlier, most of our leaders have perfected the publicity art. In real sense, maybe if you go to Machakos today and mamamboga, maybe they are still taxed daily. Maybe they come every day. There are a certain amount of money they pay. But if you suspend that, I think it will be, the mamambogas will be able to meet their daily needs. Yeah. I think it's a good initiative.
Yeah, and just before I just come to you, Charles, do you think maybe the taxation will maybe make the economy go low or even high?
Yeah, since there's lockdown, there's minimal activities that will take place. Maybe those who will have bought from the mamambogas, maybe that person was working in a hospitality industry or in a bar. That means that person who was working in that industry has nothing to buy or has nothing to use for daily, meaning their sales will be down. And once their sales are down, meaning the revenue generated from them will be lesser.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And now to you, Charles. What do you think? Can other counties apply the same?
Yeah, other counties can apply the same, but now the curfew still remains as it was in the remaining 42 counties. So basically there is nothing to worry, because the business is as usual. The business is taking place as usual. So there is no need of putting such cautions over there in terms of revenue cuts to them, because actually they'll help in the growing of the economy. Business will be going on. Yeah.
And maybe what could be the outcome?
The outcome, so long as they adhere to the government directives through the Ministry of Health about keeping social distance, wearing masks, sanitizing, I think they can just move on with their daily business as usual. There is no effect.
For me, even in my own thinking capacity, I had a problem with the curfew. Because you are imposing curfew from, for example, in Nairobi County and other 5 counties, it is 8 p.m. Do you really mean that COVID-19 travels only at night? What, during the day people are doing their normal businesses? I think even if it's a presidential directive, sometimes you have to be considerate of our people on the ground. Yeah, curfew, for example, curfew is mostly imposed during the security issue.
Yeah.
But this is a virus. And you have closed bars, you have closed the hospitality industry, but you are still enforcing curfew at 8 p.m., reducing curfew at 8 p.m. I think I don't agree with that. Even the curfew itself, it was ill-advised.
Okay, basically what I can say is, when a suspension is put in terms of gathering, public institutions and like the churches, the hospitals, the schools, the institutions of higher learnings, basically what it entails is that we are trying to identify the point of convergence of people, the meeting points. So basically when we put a restriction on the number of people to converge on a particular institution or church, then actually what we are trying to do is to limit the rate of contact persons, because you can clearly see that things had returned to normal. People were hugging each other, they were shaking without caring, you see. And those are what is going to ensure that there is spread of COVID-19. So basically what the government directive is trying to do is to make a limit to the contacts. You see, that is why there is a lockdown in the restaurants. Not that necessarily that it transmits over the night, but actually the rate at which it spread and the contact rate. So when you people go to the bar after drinking, you don't have control of yourself, and therefore the rate of contracting the disease can be very high. That is where there is a curfew from 8, and the bars are no longer working from that particular time, so that you can, even if you have to drink from after job from 5 to 2 p.m. that is 3 hours. So it is basically less than 2 hours. Then you still have the opportunity to go home, rather than when we say it is going to be at 10 p.m. then you will be drunk, and therefore you'll be under influence, and therefore you can't take control of yourself.
Okay, thank you so much on that. And now moving on, this next statement by Governor Alfred Mutua, he said that the county government has also scrapped off the fire license. What does that mean to the Machakos resident?
Yeah, to scrap the fire licenses simply means that now, because the business is down, and therefore there is a reduction in the profit that the business entrepreneurs make, and therefore the cut is in line to not to burden the business and the industries that exist within Machakos County. So basically it is a good idea.
All right, and what's your point of view on this end?
Yeah, I think using fire licensing rates on businesses is a wise idea, because people are already grappling with the COVID-19 ravages. So once you reduce that, the sales, obviously there is curfew at 8 p.m., meaning business hours will be reduced to, meaning reduced sales. That means for them to maximize on the little they have made during the day or during those normal operation hours, it is wise to reduce the fire tax rates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that takes us for a quick commercial break. We shall be right back. Welcome back to the program, and we are talking about the county's COVID-19 response, focusing on Machakos County. And you can be part of this discussion by following us on the social media platforms at both Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Lookup TV, as well as engage us on the SMS line, which is 20374. Let us know what you think about our topic of discussion. Moving on still the statement of Governor Alfred Mutua, he said that the single business permits for all private learning institutions were waived by 50%. And now the county government has also partnered with other local supermarkets like the Mule's supermarket, right? So how will this affect the economy of the supermarket as well as those?
The interest of the people as at now within Machakos County, being that it is locked. So partnering with the Mule's supermarket is a way to subsidize the cost of essential commodities that are going to be used in every household within Machakos County. So basically, it's a way of cutting the cost of living to the residents of Machakos, which is good, owing to the fact that there is no flow of cash because of the cuts of jobs and the profit made from doing the business. So it's basically good. Second, for the business like the PK Mule, the Mule supermarket, it has been in existence for some time, and it's really doing business. And again, that is one way of giving back to the community, the corporate social responsibility department.
That's great. And you, Khalif, what do you think about, we have the supermarket, right? And they've reduced the prices of the commodities. how is the supermarket going to flatten the curve to have a good sustainability?
I think that is the governor or the county government of Machakos might have made a contract with Mulei supermarket to reduce the price of commodities. Maybe the commodities they mean maybe essential commodities that every household needs for day-to-day activities. So it might, maybe the contract, maybe the county government of Machakos has made a mutual contract with them. Maybe the county government can pay them in equal measure in order to cap or cushion the people of Machakos County, since essential during this time of, for example, if you remember the livelihood as time goes by is becoming harder every day. So by reducing the prices of essential commodities, I think that will be a great milestone for the people of Machakos County.
And again, on Governor Mutua's statement, he said that he also urged the petroleum industry to reduce the prices and to have a little bit of the profits they are making. How do you think this will be going to be effective? Now looking at it that Machakos is locked, the rest of the counties still have the same fuel prices. How will it be effective?
Okay, basically there was a rise in fuel prices just the other day. So to cut the cost, first of all, when you reduce the cost of the fuel, it therefore implies that the transport sector is going to move efficiently without any hitches, owing to the fact that there is going also to be a reduction in the profit they make, which is imposed by the curfew with the number of people boarding the passenger vehicles. You know, initially it used to be 13 passengers, now there are 8 passengers, you see. So that will commensurate the loss of the profit that they make. Again, our prices in terms of fuel has always been exaggerated by the cartels, because our neighbors like Tanzania and Uganda, the petroleum is very cheap over there. Why is it that they are very cheap yet they pass through Kenya as they go? It therefore implies that the cost, the production cost or the transport cost of petroleum from maybe Uganda and here in Kenya, which one is more costlier? That neighboring country is more costlier because of the transport cost involved. But actually the prices are lower over there compared to us. Therefore, this is the time now the business associates, the distributors, the investors who've invested in petroleum product to reduce the fuel prices. Yeah.
Okay, on to you, Khalif, what do you think?
Yeah, first on the issue of petroleum products, being the governor urged them to reduce, but that's the work of the Energy Regulatory Commission. So I think it is in Kenya for many years the prices of petroleum products has been exaggerated, as my colleague had said, because for example in Mandera County, our neighbor there is Ethiopia. It is cheaper to buy petroleum products from Ethiopia than to buy from within Kenya. So people will obviously opt for crossing the border. At the same time, in Uganda, they transport their petroleum products from Mombasa. It's taken all the way to Uganda, but it is cheaper in Uganda than in Kenya. So that means there is a clique of cartels who are controlling the energy sector in Kenya. So since Kenyans are going through a hard time through that wave of corona, I think it will be wiser for those people in charge of the energy committee and in consultation with the leaders, I think it will be wiser if they reduce the petroleum products, because in the sense, if you increase the fuel products, the transport will be hiked again, as you have already seen. The transport will be higher, meaning that will be more pressure to Kenyans who are already grappling with that wave of COVID-19. So I think it will be wise if those who are in charge of the energy and control of petroleum products, they consider Kenyans, review their prices, because you wake up one day and hike the prices of fuel products, which you know Kenyans use daily. I think it is unwise, and we hope the government will consider that, because there was outburst from all Kenyans that fuel prices have been hiked, and they should consider reducing the price. Yeah.
And then looking at it as from a perspective of a common mwananchi, what do you think, what will happen if the implementation is made in Machakos County and the rest of the counties are left out?
I think since petroleum fuel is a national thing, even the government will consider implying or enforcing the same across the country and the 47 counties. I think it will not be wise if they only effect it in Machakos County, because all Kenyans across the country are feeling the same effects and are grappling with the third wave of COVID-19. Yeah.
And then, Charles, from your point of view, do you think maybe it could be viable, because he's one governor and then we have the rest of the governors who are maybe they have not taken any measures? Do you think maybe it could be viable?
Oh, well, it's viable in the essence that we have distributors. The petroleum industry has different dealers, like Total. We have the Mobil,
Shell.
We have the Shell. These are different players that are dealing in this particular product. But again, under them, we have the distributors. So it is viable in Machakos if the governor has already talked to the distributors who are in charge from various dealers. So it is a one-on-one agreement with the distributor. So it means now, therefore, it is the distributor who is going to cut the cost of the profit they make in giving back to the society. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much on that. Moving on to a statement that Governor said. He says that he urged the president to strike a deal with the power. He urged the president to strike a deal with the Kenya Power so that they can reduce the total cost of the power, and when the citizens have delayed bills, they cannot cut the cost. Do you think this is going to be effective as a county and as a nation?
Well, it can be effective when there is a presidential order. Because a presidential order is like law. When the president makes that statement, it can be effected. But without his input, it is null and void. Why? Because two things are involved. When you look at Article 4, when you look at the Constitution, Schedule 4, talks about the roles of the national government and the roles of the county government. And therefore, you'll find when you come to electricity or energy production and distribution, it's a function of the national government as well as the county government. So when the county governments join hands with the national government and together with the president, it can be achieved. Yeah.
Okay. Khalif, what do you think?
I think that means Governor for Machakos has shown leadership in urging the president to consider urging Kenya Power, KPLC, to consider Kenyans. Because you see, I think another exaggerated parastatal is the Kenya Power Lighting Company. They are also reaping huge from Kenyans, but at the same time they argue every now and then that they are in big losses. So I think it is a sign of leadership, if at all the president will listen, and he has the power to give presidential directives to ensure that Kenyans are not locked out or cut off from KPLC during this pandemic.
Okay, thank you so much for your clarification. And now finally, Mutua said that the landlords in Machakos County should reduce their payments and also exercise patience when a client fails to pay. As a common mwananchi owning a plot in Machakos County, how will this affect you?
I think it could have been wiser if he had brought the landlords in a table and discussed with them, because they are also facing the same pandemic. They have bills to meet. Yeah, it is a good initiative for the common wananchi because they are those who are paying the rent. But how will you make sure that the landlord is also not equally ravaged by the pandemic? He's also the landlords are also facing the same problem. So it's a good calling, but it needs stable discussion with the landlords and the county leadership. Yeah.
And Charles, from your point of view, do you think maybe this could work?
Yeah, it can work. When the governor has spoken to the landlords to ease the tension and at least to have a dialogue with the tenants, he has done two things. One is the shown leadership that everything is possible, that you can negotiate. Two, it now relieves the burden of the tenants from being coerced by the landlords to pay the rents. Yeah, so basically it's a good thing. Yeah. Another thing is suspended the land rates, and therefore these businessmen are not under pressure to collect the money in order to pay the land rates. Now there is a cut on their side, and for it to reach the common mwananchi, there is also a cut. Yeah, so they can review or they can delay, yeah, until normalcy returns.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you so much on that. And now, looking the whole issue as general, where do you think this is going?
I think that wave of corona is truly ravaging the country. We are seeing deaths of people who we know or close people. So that wave of the COVID-19 is real. That's a reality fact. It's a reality, but still life must continue. People must continue doing their businesses. The Kenya leadership, the Uhuru administration needs to consider the common mwananchi on the ground. They have to, when you're making decisions as a leader, you must know of the reality on the ground. But once you lose touch with the people on the ground, the decisions you are making might have a negative impact on the common mwananchi. As going forward, I think the president and his team and the committee that he put in place need to have a real discussion on what is happening on the ground, because corona is there, yes, but people still need to eat. People are dying because of mental illness, depression, because they have nothing to eat, they have no jobs, people have lost their jobs. All those considerations must be put into place.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so basically what I will say is corona is with us to stay, and the third wave is very strong. We've seen how it has affected other countries, especially the rich countries in Europe, in America. Yeah, so it's a real thing. So my plea to the citizens of this country is to adhere to the government directives, keeping social distance, wearing masks, sanitizing, and avoiding most congested places. Two, I call upon every corporates, institutions who have the capacity to help the needy in the society, to give back to the society, because a lot of people have lost their jobs and they are going through difficult times. Most of them need food, basic needs. And again, third, I thank community organization training program, which is based in Nairobi, who've already started involving the community members in creating awareness about COVID-19 issue, and again equipping them with the skills to generate more income during this particular time. Yeah, so it's upon each and every one of us to at least give hand to the needy in the society, because when we don't support them, we'll hear a lot of suicides and a lot of mental illnesses coming up. Yeah, and again to the professionals of this land, like those dealing with the counseling. It is time that they need to reach to the communities to have a dialogue with them, because a lot of people have depression. Yeah. So they can help. Yeah.
And again, now looking the leadership of Governor Alfred Mutua, could other leaders emulate the same?
Yeah, other leaders are able to emulate the same and do the same to their counties. However, two things are involved in leadership. One is your ability to govern, your capability, your passion to govern. Once you have that, it therefore means that you have the interest of your people at heart. Two is about the will and the desire to elevate your people from the poverty that exists to another level, to ensure that there is service delivery to them, which is effective and accurate.
Yeah, that's a good question. As I said earlier, our leaders, most of our governors are people who have perfected the art of propaganda and publicity. They just do some things to voters or to gain political mileage. Yeah, Governor Alfred Mutua has shown leadership by showing the rest of the governors what they can do as those in positions. But if you remember well, these are people who have been in government. Some of them are doing so to gain political mileage, as I've already said. My only focus is, as citizens, we must make sure that those measures that the governors are putting in place, or they will put in place in later, must be implemented. Maybe they will say it in the media and that's the end of it. Nobody follows it up and nothing is done beyond there. So as I urge our leaders, once they make some public measures to caution the residents of their counties, they should enforce it, not leave it in the media only, in the air. Yeah.
And again, Charles, from your point of view, do you think what Machakos County has done maybe could be implemented and work out?
Yeah, it is possible. It can be implemented and it can work well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much on that. And again, politics have not been left out. We have the BBI on board. So what are some of the innovative measures that we are going to make sure that we do politics amid the lockdown and the curfew?
Yeah, they did politics when even COVID-19 was causing ravages in the country. They didn't even follow the Ministry of Health protocols. So I think now it's the right time, since the government has suspended everything. It's time they use effectively social media to campaign, although it is said that BBI is on its deathbed because of some few issues. But I hope it will be revived after the lockdown has been lifted, because Kenyans are now grappling. Even right now, we don't have money for BBI, because I think that money that for the referendum should be channeled to the Ministry of Health or pay the frontline health workers. We can do BBI later. As for me, we support BBI, but currently there are issues which are more important than BBI. Yeah.
And again, Charles, what's the point of view?
Yeah, basically now, due to the fact that a suspension has been put in place and there is no political gathering, so it means now we cannot campaign about BBI. But BBI is there with us. It has passed in quite a number of the counties, and now I think it's supposed to be in Parliament. So the process of BBI will go on once normalcy returns, because basically we have to go to the referendum. Whether the Parliament pass it and the Senate don't pass it, whether they pass it or not, it has to go to the referendum. Because it touches on, the BBI touches on three things. One, they are the constitutional aspect. If you want to change anything that deals with the right of citizens, devolution, the boundaries, then it has to go to the referendum. That is a constitutional. Two, we have legislation. Now, legislation is all about inserting the articles, like maybe Article 10A will be inserted, Article 18A will be inserted, Article 150 A will be inserted about the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister post. The third one is all about the policy and administration. So those are things that need not to go through a referendum. Mm-hmm. They will only be effected through the act. Yeah, like the one that talks about Madili, the values, the national values and ethos. So it's going to be installed in the Constitution, but through the policy and amendment. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and thank you so much for that. That finalizes our broadcast. You've been watching Counties in Focus right here on Look Up TV. My name is John Matavam. Have a lovely night.